In August 1962, Marilyn Monroe died by suicide. In the weeks that followed, the United States recorded 197 more suicides than the monthly average. That is not a coincidence. That is science, and it has a name. The Werther effect. Named after Goethe's 1774 novel where the protagonist kills himself and triggered a wave of copycat deaths across Europe, this phenomenon is one of the most chilling and well-documented patterns in all of behavioral psychology. And in the age of social media, it is more dangerous than ever before. Here is what the research actually shows. A landmark 1974 study by sociologist David Phillips at the University of California, San Diego analyzed suicide rates across the United States following front-page newspaper coverage of suicides. The finding was staggering. Suicide rates increased by an average of 2.51% in the month following major media coverage. The bigger the story, the higher the spike. And the effect was not random. It was geographically concentrated. Suicides rose most dramatically in the regions where the story received the heaviest press coverage. Phillips called this social proof of the worst kind. When Robin Williams died in August 2014, researchers at Columbia University documented a 9.85% increase in total suicides in the United States in the following 5 months. That translated to roughly 1,800 additional deaths. The method Robin Williams used showed the most dramatic increase, rising by 32%. This is the contagion mechanism at work. It is not that people are inspired. It is that the brain of someone already in psychological pain receives a kind of subconscious permission slip. A blueprint. A signal that says this is what people do when they feel this way. The neuroscience behind this involves mirror neurons and social identity. When we see someone we admire, someone we feel we understand, take a final and irreversible action, our brains process that information through the same neural pathways we use for our own decision-making. For a vulnerable person, this can subtly lower what psychologists call the action threshold. The internal barrier that keeps ideation from becoming attempt. Now layer on social media. A 2020 study published in PLOS ONE tracked Twitter activity following the death of Korean pop star Gu Hara in 2019. South Korea saw a 60% spike in suicides in the following week. The hashtags, the tributes, the endless algorithmic recirculation of the story created what researchers called a sustained contagion window instead of the usual 2 to 4 week spike that newspapers produced. Social media extends and amplifies the Werther effect in real time. But here is the critical twist researchers discovered in the 1980s. This effect can be reversed. The Papageno effect, named after a character in Mozart's Magic Flute who chose to live, describes how responsible media coverage of mental health struggles and coping stories can actually decrease suicide rates. A 2010 Austrian study found that when media shifted from sensational suicide reporting to stories of people overcoming crisis, suicide rates fell by 20% on subway systems within 18 months. The World Health Organization now publishes specific media guidelines. Do not describe the method. Do not place stories on front pages. Do not use the word committed. Do include crisis resources. These guidelines work when followed. So what can you do with this information? First, if you share content about mental health, follow safe messaging guidelines. The way you talk about it literally changes outcomes at a population level. Second, recognize that emotional contagion is real and your media diet affects your mental state below the level of conscious awareness. Third, if you are struggling, what you are feeling is a neurological state, not a permanent reality, and the Papageno effect proves that hearing stories of survival genuinely changes outcomes. The information you consume and share has biological consequences. That is not metaphor. That is mechanism.